Life under lockdown, a once-in-a-century disruption to our normal life. We're all dealing with the unprecedented crisis, which is the global coronavirus pandemic. Nothing like this in the last 100 years has interrupted American life like this. There's never been anything else that's literally kept us inside of our homes. We can't see the enemy. We can't see the virus. We can't even tell if someone has it. If you're like me, your anxiety levels are at an all-time high. And yet, we have to keep on. We have to keep going forward. We have to remain calm. And we have to do every single thing we can to keep ourselves healthy. So the first thing that's going to sap our immune system is a sustained elevated stress level. So by panicking, by having that intense, prolonged anxiety, we're weakening our body's ability to fight off any virus, bacteria, whatever illness. So it has to become our primary duty to remain calm and to keep those around us calm. It's really hard to remain calm when you're glued to the news, whether it's on the television, whether it's your social media feed, whether it's the internet. It is your duty to be informed, clearly. So it's recommended to spend no more than 30 minutes a day on the coronavirus news. So I would suggest breaking that into 3. 10 minutes in the morning to get the most important, vital information of the day. Midday, see what's transpired, and in the evening, keep abreast of what's happening. Once you're at home, you're really doing everything that you can, and the most important thing, to combating this horrible virus. So really, once you're at home, once you know where everyone is, and you finally stop panic shopping, hopefully, what are you going to do then? I mean, you're just never going to leave your house again? For the time being, that is the reality. And there are a lot of things you can do to make that better. If you picture yourself glued to the news, glued to the very, very scary, very real information 24/7, and you're not bathing, you're not changing out of your pajamas, and you're just mindlessly eating your panic buying stash, you're making this even worse than it has to be. So some of these things are really just about keeping some basic routines, keeping whatever sense of normalcy you can. So things like getting dressed, taking a shower, cleaning your house, having your meals at regular times, working as best as you can remotely, trying to do things that just take the stress level down. These are the things that you need to be focusing on, because unfortunately, we can't control other people. If you're like me, you're very distressed at the cavalier and nonchalant reactions people are having. Here in Palm Springs, the bars were full until the very last minute that the governor issued an order for the bars to close. So people weren't taking this seriously. In the weeks leading up to this, there's been non-stop dinner parties and cocktail parties and just life in La La Land as if nothing else is important in where we live. So now people are taking it seriously because they really don't have a choice, and they're under lockdown orders all over the world. So my number one coping strategy for dealing with the anxiety is meditation. There is nothing else that's going to take you down from that elevated anxiety level and allow you to process all of those feelings without absorbing them through your body, because that's going to make you sick. And if you've never tried meditation before, this is the time. This is the best time to learn how to meditate. And all you have to do is start by finding some different guided meditations and just do a couple and just notice what you like. Whether it's the sound of a person's voice, whether it's the music, whether it's the messages, just keep doing them until you find one that really kind of clicks for you. And then you can either keep doing the same one, that's very good because repetition is great for the brain, or you can do more of that same person because you like their style. So my favorite creator of guided meditations is Marissa Peer, followed by Michael Seeley, and then Lisa A. Romano. These three people do incredible, really, really well produced and very, very soulful and thoughtful guided meditations. I do one at least once a day, and now I'm starting to realize that that's actually not even enough. So for a meditation practice during this crisis, I would suggest doing one when you wake up, before you look at the news. This is so critical. We're going to need to build ourselves up emotionally and psychologically before we look at the news, before we look at the body count, the contagion count. And that's going to put us in a more proactive, less reactive state, because the morning is an inflection point, basically. It's our chance to either let the events of the day ramp us way up and put us into a whole lost day of anxiety and panic, or it's our chance to get ahead of it and do these different self-care and self-soothing activities so then we can react appropriately. Once you're at home, the rising body count is not as important because you're already doing what you're supposed to be doing. And as upsetting as it is and important to keep abreast of it, it's not relevant to your immediate concern. Your immediate concern is keeping calm, keeping everyone from fighting, keeping everyone from eating all the food too quickly, keeping the house from turning into a pigsty because everyone's in it. Those are actually your more immediate concerns once you're at home, once you're in quarantine, lockdown, shelter in place. So some other coping strategies are aromatherapy. Aromatherapy really works. Look through your medicine cabinet. If you have some nice essential oil blends or some nice fragrance that you can put into a diffuser or somehow enjoy as aromatherapy, do it now. Essential oils go bad eventually. There's never been a time to use them more than now. Reading is another activity that's really, really calming, and it's a great way to get away from the TV, get away from the screens. Try limiting your screen time in general. We're all gonna binge watch, we're all gonna surf the web way too much when we're stuck at home, but be proactive in giving yourself easy to do things besides just the screen. So if you have some books that you haven't read yet or started and never finished, pick them back up. Get comfortable and just enjoy the pleasure of reading. Reading is one of the biggest stress relieving activities there is. Learning is a huge stress reliever, and that is actually because when we're learning, we also can't be in a stressed mind state. We're in either a learning mind state or an anxious mind state, not both typically. And when we're learning, that also starts unlocking new pathways for new information. So that's going to allow us to actually tune into other, even new things to learn that are going to help us right now. And it doesn't matter if those things are relevant to the coronavirus. It's going to be just as beneficial to you to brush up on a foreign language or learn a foreign language as it is to do something immediately useful. And listen, you don't know, the world is hopefully not coming to an end. So you don't need to become an expert survivalist, but maybe you'd like to learn Spanish so you can talk to some of your Spanish-speaking relatives, for example. Lastly, I think the biggest coping strategy is acceptance. Really accepting the situation, accepting the seriousness of it, and accepting that the greatest contribution you can make is by staying calm and staying home. Now, it's very important, if you're like me, you only like to use natural cleaners and you like to keep a non-toxic home. Well, the coronavirus doesn't care, and most of the natural cleaners are not going to kill the coronavirus, unfortunately. My go-to spray cleaner is something I make myself with water, distilled white vinegar, and vodka. Nothing in there is going to kill the coronavirus. Vodka, even straight vodka, is not going to kill the coronavirus because it just doesn't have a high enough alcohol content. You need 60% isopropyl alcohol or bleach or ammonia or the kind of really strong cleaners that it's my preference not to have in the house. But these are not normal times, and it's very important to recognize that this is an interruption to our preferred way of doing things. I have a preferred way of cleaning my house with things that are non-toxic. I have a preferred way of using essential oils to clean things and relying on these natural remedies, but it's not relevant. What's relevant now is disinfecting your surfaces and actually stopping the virus from coming into your home. So yes, isopropyl alcohol smells bad, bleach smells bad, I don't want to use it, but when it's important to disinfect something, remember, you really don't know if your natural cleaner is going to clean it. And in my case, I know for sure that mine isn't going to. Something like tea tree oil, cinnamon oil, lemon peel oil, they probably do clean it. I mean, tea tree oil, rosemary oil have massive antimicrobial powers, massive antiviral powers. But if you have no way of being sure, this is not the appropriate time to be taking that chance. And we'll just have to do the best we can to remove any residue after it's sat long enough to be effective. So I really want to tell people that this is a disruption that is going to require us to go back to those older ways of cleaning that we really didn't like. And remember, it's not forever. When it comes to natural skincare, we're also going to have to change the way we do things. I love cream cleansers, and now I have somehow turned into an oil cleanser or an oil cleansing person. And you know what? Those two ways of cleaning your face have no antibacterial, or antimicrobial, antiviral powers. They just don't. I mean, the whole point of oil cleansing and cream cleansing is that it doesn't upset your acid mantle and it doesn't cause your skin to over or underproduce sebum or oil. But this is just a different time, and you know what? I am washing my face once a day with a foaming cleanser, with a sulfate-free foaming cleanser. I'm just using my olive oil soap I'm using on my body now, or Castile soap. No, it is not great for my skin. Yes, it's stripping off the oil, and I'm just trying as best I can to nourish my skin. And then when it comes to hair, anyone with curly textured hair has probably switched to conditioner washing in the last 10 years. It's taken the world by storm, and it's given a lot of us that had really frizzy hair, pretty decent hair that's glossy and smooth without chemical straightening. Likewise, conditioner washing has no antimicrobial, antibacterial powers. I have gone back to washing my hair once a day with a foaming, sulfate-free shampoo, and then trying to put as much moisture into my hair afterwards. It is just what needs to be done. Same with my beard. I like my beard a little longer, but beards do trap all kinds of bacteria and microbes on them. That is the truth. I prefer having a beard. Just in general, that's my aesthetic preference, that's my lifestyle preference. I think if you don't work in a bank or as a lawyer or something, where if you have a full beard and you don't need to shave your face for your office environment, I don't see the point. But like that's a preference. So my way of accommodating the situation is to just have a shorter beard, and we'll see what happens. I'm sure I hope you're washing your hands very, very thoroughly, which is probably drying them out. Now, it's very, very important to moisturize your hands as much as possible, especially before you go to sleep. The reason is when you go to sleep, you're not washing your hands. It's hopefully 7 or 8 hours uninterrupted where that balm or cream can really get in there and start healing your skin. Because if you are not moisturizing your skin regularly and you're washing your hands more than ever, your skin is going to start getting dry and cracking. And that is going to lead to a greater possibility of you contracting any bad microbe, virus, bacteria, whatever. So we want to keep our skin, our nails, our cuticles, our lips, we want to keep them nicely moisturized, and we want to make sure we don't have any scratches or nicks. You want to be sure if you're playing with your pets, if you're gardening, if you're working, and it's, I don't typically would not have thought much of getting scratched by my kitten, or I often get scratched up by the agaves and aloes in my garden when I'm gardening, and I don't really think twice about it. I wash them and I go about my day. I heal very quickly, but now I'm being very, very careful not to get any cuts on my hands and to just be really, really careful. So now going on to food, I think this is probably what people are focusing on because it's in their control. They can't control whether they get the virus or not. Wrong. We'll get to that later. But they can control whether they run out of food or not. And I think psychologically, they want to be doing something. They want to be taking an active role in whatever this is. But unfortunately, this is, I think, the worst reaction. And I really think in hindsight, we are going to see some of the highest levels of contagions, the fastest spread, happen during all the panic shopping. I stocked up 3 weeks ago because I have been thinking this is really serious. So I stocked up for about maybe 6 weeks, like a month and a half, 3 weeks ago, and then the week after got more food and everything we need. Because I just thought, wow, this is really serious and no one else is taking it seriously. Like I said, there was just nonstop dinner parties and cocktail parties and life is normal in our community until 3 days ago, basically. So I thought, it was everything I bought, I will use anyway. And nothing will go to waste, nothing will rot because I didn't eat it. I didn't get a year's supply of toilet paper, but I thought in a really extreme emergency, which has come to pass, I only want to eat home-cooked food. And that is, everyone has different comfort levels. They have different opinions about this, but that's what I'm comfortable with. I'm comfortable with eating something that I prepared from scratch, hot food that was completely cooked in the oven, completely cooked on the stove, and I just have that sense that someone else's germs are not on it, and that's my peace of mind. So when everyone else was panic shopping, I was at home cooking. If you need to have things delivered, it might take a while, but at a certain point, people will get stocked up and they will stop ordering more, and they'll get to your order. So put in your order and hope for the best, and do everything you can to stay out of the stores at this time. The stores are all being cleaned, and things will calm down, and you'll be able to either go out again or you'll be able to get things delivered. So in the meantime, what I would suggest doing is meal planning, long-term meal planning. Look at what you have and start writing out a list of all the meals you could make with that. And every time you start to get that anxious feeling about running out of food, look at those meal plans and you'll have proof that you're not running out of food. Remember, this is a health crisis, not a food supply crisis. What would cause a food supply crisis is if the contagion levels go so high that people can't drive the delivery trucks, work on the farms, work in the packing facilities. So the greatest contribution you can give to not having food supply disruptions is to stay home and eat what you already have. Another aspect is, if you are trying to lose weight anyway, eat lightly, eat small portions. And if you're not going out, you're probably not moving nearly as much as you did on any other day, so you have a diminished caloric need. So that's just going to take your anxiety down, because you're eating less, probably feeling better when you're eating less, your food is stretching longer, and you're losing weight. That's a win-win-win. So take that mentality. This is a great time to eat lightly. Just eat until you're 80% full. Remember, your stomach is about as big as your fist. So this is approximately, I'm just eyeballing, this is about 2 cups worth of solid food. So maybe you want to start measuring your food. You should always be rationing out your food for your health anyway. You should always be rationing out the stuff you buy so that you don't waste it and you don't have to waste your money. All of these habits that you're going to get into because of the coronavirus, cooking for yourself, learning how to entertain yourself, learning how to manage your anxiety levels, learning how to meditate, learning how to meal plan, you are going to take these tools forward in life, and you're actually going to be better off for them. So remember that when you do things differently, you're learning more, and you don't unlearn once you learn. So this is a fantastic way for you to learn to be more self-sufficient and learn really how to take care of yourself and what it takes to take care of yourself, and no one else can answer that.
Alright, so today's challenge is going to the grocery store. So we have tried Instacart, Whole Foods delivery, Prime Pantry, and we haven't been able to get any groceries delivered for 2 weeks. So we're not running out of food, but we are running out of fresh things like half and half, milk, fresh vegetables. If we had to, we'd be perfectly fine for another 6 weeks or so. But you know what? I want some cream in my coffee if I'm going to be trapped in my house for so long. So let's see how the grocery stores are. People say that the grocery stores out here in the desert are still full. And we'll see how this goes. It's a beautiful day in the legendary Coachella Valley. Alright, so we've made it to the store. Okay, as one can see, there are other cars here. The store's open. It's a beautiful day, and the world has clearly not ended yet. So let's see what we find inside. Alright, so we can see a line of people keeping a good distance. This is just good sense. Alright, so truth be told, that was a very different shopping experience than normal. They're reducing the people in the store, which is really smart. All the staff is being so friendly and helpful and calm during this, and I just appreciate everyone who works at the Trader Joe's Palm Desert so much, and they're doing such a good job of keeping people calm and just being really understanding because everyone is on edge and upset. So there were not full shelves. I'd say 90% of the items were totally stocked in full. There were limits on how many canned goods and milk you could buy, which I totally support. That's completely fair. There was not a single roll of toilet paper or tissues or napkins or the soap that I used. There were just certain things not there, like pizza dough, frozen falafel. I guess those are really good freezer items. I mean, all in all, they're doing a really good job of trying to keep some sense of normalcy, and I'm so grateful that the stores are still open. But it's to think that I could go back to the store and just have my normal shopping day was not correct, and I think overly optimistic. So like I said, we've tried Instacart, we've tried Prime Pantry, we've tried Whole Foods delivery, and absolutely nothing has worked, so this is what it's come to, and that's hardly a sacrifice because I've gotten lots of great quality items like I would normally get, and this will augment our stocks and keep us really well fed. And the things that I really underestimated what I would want were chocolate and beer and potato chips. But I did control myself and I got more vegetables than junk food. But I cannot wait to go home and have some nice coffee with some cream in it. So I hope wherever you are, you have food on the shelves, you can get food delivered. But right now in Palm Desert, it's an absolutely beautiful day, and I'm so grateful to be able to go out and fill up my fridge and pantry and freezer with nutritious food. All right, so hang in there, everybody.
So right now, what's going to make the days go by better and what's going to make you feel so much better are having routines. Almost everyone has a routine that's placed upon them by an external factor. If you work outside of the home, your office hours are your routine. Your children are in school, the school calendar is your routine. If you stay at home but your husband works, that is setting your routine. The sun comes up and the sun goes down. That's a routine that's outside of us. So now if you're at home, you're going to actually have to proactively think about this routine and make it yourself and write it down in the broadest terms. 7 a.m. wake up, 8 a.m. breakfast, 9 a.m. light cleaning. I would suggest doing a morning routine. Now, the morning routine is just the very couple of simple things that you do to get yourself set up for the day. Taking a shower, getting dressed, making your bed, taking your supplements, giving your house a really, really light clean, and I'm talking minutes, not hours. So something really, really good to do when you're staying home every day is to give your bathroom a 5-minute wipe down every day, and you will never go back to doing an intermittent deep clean, because when you give your bathroom a light once over, the dirt and the residue never builds up, and you don't have to do long marathon sessions. So this is just a great habit to get into anyway. But going back to the whole getting dressed and getting ready for the day, even though you don't need to leave, you are going to be so much happier and calmer and more focused if you're wearing regular clothes and you've showered and you've styled your hair and you're wearing some fragrance. And even more importantly, the other people in the house are going to see you as a pillar of strength. They're going to see you as a beacon of normalcy. And if you have children in the house, imagine how they're going to view a panicked, dirty, stringy-haired person in sweatpants versus a calm, serene, dressed, coiffed person who smells nice when they get close, who's wearing jewelry, who's making dinner at the normal time, who's acting as though things are normal even though they're not. That is going to make you a pillar of strength in your home. And let me tell you, if you live alone, you need to do it more than anyone, because there's no one but you to do it. But you will have an effect. If you see yourself, if you look down and you see sweaty pajamas and detritus all over, it's going to make the panic rise and rise and rise. And if you look in the mirror and you see someone who is dressed and, make yourself look nice for yourself. And when this is all over, you're still going to do that because you're going to realize how much that enhances daily life no matter what is going on. Okay, so now on to activities. So think of yourself during this time as the activities director on a cruise ship. On a cruise ship, life is very regimented, but it's scheduled with really fun things. So think about, how do those different pleasant things correspond with our situation? Planning meals, making meals into a nice event. This is actually a really good time to use your nicer china and your nicer things, because if you're eating kind of more basic pantry food or rations, it's actually going to be a lot more pleasant dining experience when you're using your nice things, when you're using your porcelain plates, your good silver, it's going to elevate that meal, and it's going to bring a sense of occasion to something else that would otherwise kind of have a panic or a sense of deprivation. So let's get onto this list of activities. Number 1 is meditate. Showing you, rather than just talking about meditation, is my goal here. I like to use an essential oil diffuser for aromatherapy, because unlike candles and incense, it does not damage your lungs and respiratory system. Meditation is actually very easy, and you probably have everything you need already. Set yourself up as comfortably as possible. I prefer to be lying down with my feet and knees slightly elevated. That way I can completely relax all of my muscles and focus on the meditation. The only 3 things you really need to meditate are a smartphone or internet-connected device of some kind, headphones, and a comfortable chair, sofa, or bed. Today, I'm listening to a guided meditation created by Marissa Peer, and here is the link so that you can hear exactly what I'm hearing. Once I hear Marissa Peer's voice, I instantly relax. That's how strong my association with her voice is after several years of listening to her guided meditations and hypnosis audio recordings. People often tell me that they like to meditate sitting up because they fall asleep if they lie down during the day. What I always say to those people is to take that nap, let your body fully restore its energy, and then add on other wellness activities like meditation. Until we are fully rested, it's actually either counterproductive or a waste of time to focus on other self-care methods. I prefer to lie down so that I can completely let go and put all my attention on attaining a meditative, hypnotic state. When it comes to meditation, I think it's important to set a very specific intention and make a specific plan to execute your meditation session. However, once you have begun, don't hold on to your preconceived idea of how the session is supposed to go or what you are supposed to get out of it. This is a great chance to learn not to hold so tightly onto an outcome that you forego the chance to get an even better outcome than you knew was possible. For example, if you're tired, feeling rested from a nap or going to sleep will bring you a greater gain than meditating. Therefore, refusing yourself that nap is denying yourself that bigger, better outcome. I hope that when you see how little it took for me to set myself up to meditate and do it, you'll see that this is the perfect time to integrate the most powerful mental, physical, and spiritual tool that has ever existed. My next suggestion is to scan all of your family photos, or at least the special ones. You know, old photos, they fade, they disintegrate, they get stuck together. They don't last forever, they don't. And more to the point, our memories of who was in that photo, where they were, why they took the photo, when it was taken, all of those are gone. And you think about if you had a box of old family photos from 2 generations back, you probably wouldn't know who was in them, because think about it. Would you know what your grandmother looked like when she was a child? would you know who was in those photos when they were an adolescent, or, you know, any of the information that really makes those photos relevant? Otherwise, it's interchangeable with almost anyone else's family memorabilia. So scan them, and then as a text overlay to the image file, add that information: date, names of the people, location, what memory or event were they celebrating or doing in that photo. And then once you've sunk that energy into that, you can send it out 1,000,000 times. You can put them on the internet. You can send people zip files full of 1,000 of these images, and people can add other memories, and this is something that you can use to connect with your family members, and everyone can focus on sharing these wonderful family memories. Number 3 is to declutter. Now, this is so important when you are stuck at home. If you're stuck in a cluttered, messy house, you are going to be miserable. And, you know, it's easy to ignore the house when you go to the office all day and you work long hours and you come home and it's dark and whatever. You're too exhausted to deal with it. Now is the time to declutter. But here are some really helpful hints for decluttering. First of all, declutter before you clean. Get all your surfaces clear before you try to clean them. First of all, get rid of all the garbage. Second of all, put all the laundry in the laundry bin. Third of all, put things away. That'll be a first sweep. Then what is left doesn't have a place, or you actually want it where it is. And, you know, obviously we can't put our charity donations in their eventual places. We're not going to be able to go drop them off. Things are not normal. What you can do is you can bag them and box them and label them for where they are eventually destined for when things go back to normal, as they will. You have to remember that you're moving forward, both for the days where they're abnormal and the eventual day when things go back to normal. So the way to actually get decluttering to work, or to really get some momentum, is to use a timer and to declutter for no more than 10 minutes at a time. Now, the reason for this is something called decision-making fatigue. Decision-making is a muscle. It's a cognitive muscle in our minds that is finite. Just like, you know, the bicep, you can only, you know, stress that bicep before it's going to actually die, or until it's strained and you have to rest it until you can use it again. So rather than have this like 8-hour session where you're just going into complete decision-making overload and analysis paralysis, you can just 10 minutes, boom, 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 and when it's done, walk away. If you do no more for the day, you will have made a huge improvement. You could do it once an hour, but I wouldn't do it more than that. Your decision making is a finite resource and you need to get as much out of it as possible. And obviously people are going to start getting into this scarcity panic mindset. Well, oh my God, I can't get rid of that whatever because I might need it, because it's the apocalypse and I might need every single thing. And remember, you can't get rid of it now anyway. So if you do need to use it again, you can just take it out of the box and bring it back into the mix. So don't get into a panicked mind frame. Don't take those what ifs down the road to the apocalypse. Take the what ifs to, what if when everything went back to normal, I was in a better position than ever? What if when everything went back to normal, I had this great decluttered house? What if when everything goes back to normal, I know how to meditate and I finally have confronted my fear and my anxiety? So let's not go down the road to the apocalypse. Let's climb our way to a much better and happier and calmer and freer tomorrow, even if it's despite all evidence to the contrary, because we're going to make a choice to stay calm and move forward to that place. We're going to make a firm decision, and that is going to send a message to our subconscious mind that all systems are go towards this end of remaining calm. Number 4 is to exercise at home. For the first time in this last week that we've been stuck in the house, I exercised at home. And I just used a resistance band. That's all I needed, and I feel so good. So much better. I've been stretching every day, which is good, but I need to exercise. It is such a part of my life. And you know what? I can do it. There is not, even if you don't have resistance bands, you can still do it. You just need body weight. There are so many amazing people on YouTube that make at-home exercise videos. So now is the time. And you can do Tai Chi, yoga, Pilates, stretching, breath work. There is so much that you can do just at home. I promise you, all you need is the will to do it. All right, so number 5 is to binge watch without guilt. So you know what? There's never been a time where you just need something to occupy yourself like now. So just binge watch, but try to make it a special occasion. I like to have a little aromatherapy and mood lighting going on at the same time. Drink some herbal tea and make it more than just sitting on the sofa like a potato. So here is my list of TV shows that you might not have seen that will just delight you, and these shows are all uplifting and soothing for the most part. All right, Versailles, Grand Designs UK, Grand Designs Australia, Grand Designs New Zealand, Grand Designs International, Gourmet Farmer, Kath and Kim Australia, The Durrells of Corfu, Halcyon, Sanditon, That's My Boy, House of Elliot, Heat of the Sun, The Vicar of Dibley, Indian Summers, Keeping Up Appearances, Are You Being Served, Mary Berry's Country House Secrets, Mary Berry's Quick Cooking, Mary Berry's Absolute Favorites, and Two's Company with Elaine Stritch. Can you tell that I love Mary Berry? So check out those TV shows, and what are your favorite TV shows? What do you like to watch? Right now I'm trying to stay away from anything that's violent or is going to be disruptive to my sleep, and what's sad is that they make so many more violent shows than soothing, optimistic shows. All right, number 6 is, as you are the cruise activities director, why don't you plan a twilight fireside happy hour with classical music? Now, I love listening to Mozart piano sonatas. I think they're extremely soothing, and I love piano music. Number 7, after dinner dancing. So after dinner, why not get up and dance? Whether it's slow dancing to jazz or it's twerk off contest, it doesn't matter. Moving your body around to music feels amazing, and you can dance like nobody's looking because you're quarantined in your home. All right, number 8 is spa time. Now, I'm a big at-home spa person, and this is a time where you can really make a very simple spa time. Put on some aromatherapy, put on some mood lighting, put on some soothing meditation music, put on your nice fluffy robe. You can do a mask, you can do nail care, you can do maybe it's just the simple grooming that you do. When you're doing it with all those other things like the mood lighting and the meditation music and the aromatherapy, they're sort of elevated, and they take on that sort of spa atmosphere. And the reason we go to a spa, the reason that people are willing to drop serious money to go to a spa is to remove themselves from all of the stimulus that's making them so anxious, and paying money to have a break with that and be in completely different surroundings. And that's great. I love spas. But what you need to do is cut out that middleman to the way you feel at the spa. And you need to realize that you can actually get yourself to feel that way. And through meditating, through self-soothing, through knowing yourself better, you will cut out that middleman forever. And when you go to the spa, you'll enjoy it all the more because you'll realize you are relaxing at the spa, not the spa is relaxing you. And there's actually a really big difference, and maybe that's something that you can chew on and really start to discern the difference. Number 9, write your memoirs. I think every person should write a brief account of their life, because every account of life is a historical document, even if it's one page. If you wrote when you were born, where you were born, who your parents were, what they did for a living, what their ancestry was, and then you just hit on a couple big events. Where were you when 9/11 happened? What wars did you live through? What big events did you live through? What were the milestones of your life? Where did you graduate from college from? Where did you get married, and to who? What did you start a business? What are the big high water marks of your life? And then start to kind of fill in the blanks. I'm not saying to write a book. It doesn't matter if, like I said, if it's 1 page or 1,000 pages. Everyone's life story is interesting. You just don't think it's interesting because you've already lived it. So to you, it's a book you've already read and you're bored of. But to other people, it's actually very interesting. And if you're older, it's more interesting because you've lived more and the times have changed more. So if you have a lifetime of experience, why don't you start writing some of your memories? They don't have to be perfect. It's not about doing a best written anything. Do it as best you can and then send it to the younger people in the family, and then they can think about how much life has changed just in your lifetime and have a sense of perspective. And that's, yet again, something that you can do to unite your family from a distance. Right, number 10 is cleaning. There is no reason to be in a dirty house when you're trapped at home. And hey, dusting and vacuuming do not have any sanitizing antiviral powers, but guess what? They need to be done just as much as they did the day before the coronavirus happened.
Join me today for a spring cleaning to remember.
Right, number 10 is cleaning. There is no reason to be in a dirty house when you're trapped at home. And hey, dusting and vacuuming do not have any sanitizing antiviral powers, but guess what? They need to be done just as much as they did the day before the coronavirus happened. So this is spring cleaning. We're going into spring, and my house, I clean my house often, but it definitely needs a spring cleaning. So here is a list of different spring cleaning items that you can do while you are under lockdown. First is rotate your wardrobe for spring. I think it's very important to rotate your wardrobe 4 times a year, to do it with the seasons. Now the reason is, we typically wear, and this is an old expression, 20% of our clothes 80% of the time. So why even have the other 80%? And if it's not for a special use, like for example, ski clothes, you only wear those when you're skiing, you're not going to throw them out just because you didn't go skiing this winter. You're still going to go skiing again, and you're not going to want to spend the money on more. But if there are things that you just have multiples of, and you don't like the way you look in them, you don't like the way you feel in them, get rid of them. But also with the rotation, you don't need wool sweaters in the spring. It's too warm. You don't need your big fluffy fleeces in May. Only you know what your climate is like, and only you know what your lifestyle is like. But go forward and put the things that you're going to be using for this next 3 months front and center, and start to put some things away. That way you can let the closet breathe a little bit. And this is just going to make every morning easier, because you'll be able to find things. And when I did this, it was kind of funny because I found a lot of things that I said, hey, I would have worn this if I even remembered I had it. Think about that. I had clothes that I didn't even remember I owned that I would have loved to have worn this winter. So rotate your wardrobes, start putting some things away. And a really, really great tip with this wardrobe rotation is to put your winter clothes in your luggage. You're probably not traveling for the time being. I know I'm not. So if I put all my really big winter coats and sweaters and scarves and mittens and hats into my suitcases, I'm going to get a huge volume of space opened up in my closet. So for me, this has been great. I've really looked at what I'm going to wear for spring, and it's just so much easier to find things in my closet and drawers now. So second, organize, inventory, and declutter your pantry. It's great to know exactly what you have. You don't need to make an Excel spreadsheet. You just, even if it's in your head, just gain an awareness of what you have and start going. And if things are expired and they have to be thrown out, it's better than getting sick. But at least you'll know what you have. And when things are organized, you can see them better, you can plan your meals better, and you can take that anxiety about running out of food way down. Because listen, I'm so much more worried about catching this virus and spreading it to other people than I am about starving in my house. To me, that's just a no-brainer. All right, number 3. When was the last time you washed your bath mats, your doormats, and your washable area rugs? If you haven't, and they are washable, now is the time. You can just do a couple a day, do them, you follow the instructions on the tag, but for the most part, you wash them in lukewarm or cold water on the gentle cycle, tumble dry them on low for 10 minutes, and then dry them by hanging them. And you'll be amazed at how much the color changes when you wash them, probably. But this likewise is something you'll get into the habit of probably wanting to do once every season. Every 3 months is a great time interval to do a lot of different things, actually. Disinfect the surfaces that you touch often. Door handles, counters, phones, remote controls, computers. If you're touching it all day long, definitely disinfect it. Once you're really hunkered down and not going in or out anymore, you can ease up on that. You only need to disinfect these things when you've been exposed. If you're just in the house, you can probably ease up on that and save your disinfecting equipment for when you're really going to need it. So backpacks, gym bags, shopping bags, all of these need to go in the wash. Most backpacks are washable. Your shopping bags certainly are. Put those in the wash. Follow the manufacturer's instructions, and obviously don't put anything leather into the washing machine. But by and large, they're going to be just fine on low with a lukewarm water and with 10 minutes of a tumble dry, and then allowing them to air dry. When was the last time you washed your bathrobe and your slippers? If you can't remember, it is definitely time. When was the last time you washed your throw blankets and your throw pillow covers? Now, this is something that obviously you can't change right now, but I think it's very, very important in your home that when you have throw pillows, you have the kind that have detachable and washable covers. It's obviously a lot cheaper to just stuff a pillow full of fill and sew it closed and sell it to you at Target. But it's worth spending a little bit more money for one with a detachable cover, because you'll be able to have it for a lot longer, you'll be able to wash it, and then if you want to change the cover, you can always use the same insert. So definitely do that. Once again, follow your manufacturer's instructions, but by and large, it's the same drill. Lukewarm, cold water, gentle cycle, a very modest amount of gentle detergent, tumble drying for 10 minutes to get the wrinkles out, and then hang drying. It might be unusual to dry things inside the house, but if it's the winter and the heat is going, that's actually great to put moisture in the air. When was the last time you cleaned and vacuumed and dusted your lampshades? I know all of my lampshades need a really, really good going over. So now's the time. Fan blades. When was the last time you wiped down and sanitized your fan blades? I know mine really need to be done before I start using them again. When was the last time you wiped down your appliances? I'm sure your dishwasher, your washing machine and dryer, your microwave, your oven, I'm sure they would all love a nice wipe down. Now, are you worried about running out of household cleaners? If you are, just try wiping things down with water. You will be amazed at how much residue comes off, especially if you have proper microfiber cleaning cloths. Listen, if you don't need to sanitize it, just getting it nice and wiped down and polished is a win. Descale your coffee maker. Is that the one chore you can never get to? Well, guess what? Now you have time. Follow your manufacturer's instructions, but by and large, you need to run some white distilled vinegar through it, and then a couple pots of water to get the vinegar out, and you will have a much faster cup of coffee in the morning. And this is a great thing to do, once again, seasonally. I think this should be done every 3 months. Follow your manufacturer's instructions if it needs to be done more often. And lastly, rotate your artwork. So, we kind of get used to things. We get kind of blindness to things. It's how we end up getting our homes so cluttered, because we start to sort of see the clutter as a piece of furniture that is in place. So it's actually going to be really, really fun for you to move your artwork and your family photos around. If you have something in your entry hall, maybe put it in your bedroom. If you have something in the living room, maybe you want to put it in the bathroom. You're actually going to see the things more because they're in a different place, and it's going to give a little bit of feeling of freshness to the space. So you want to actually kind of arrange the space to be lived in for this time. You want to make this cozy, comfortable, clutter-free cocoon in which to spend this time. This is an extraordinary time, so you're going to do some things that you otherwise wouldn't do, and kind of arranging the space, setting it up, and taking a little more care in your space is part of these extraordinary measures. And once again, when everything goes back to normal, you probably will want to do this. I like to go every 3 months and just kind of rearrange things, rearrange the photos, the house plants, the knickknacks, take some things away, put some things in, and it just makes the house feel fresh, and it gives the house more of a seasonal feel, because when you go from Christmas, you always decorate the house for Christmas probably, and then you just go put everything away and go back to normal, which is probably kind of somewhat depressing. And this is another way of saying, okay, well, winter is a season too. Christmas is just the start of winter, but what about the other 3 months, basically? And this makes it special. You can lay out throw blankets. You can put out board games. You can put some books and magazines within easy reach. And when they're actually, arranged nicely and stacked, they don't look like clutter. They look like they're just waiting for you to sit down and enjoy them. So, I am exhausted just thinking about all those things.
Since it's spring, I wanted to share some of the beautiful spring flowers we have here in the desert. This is a blooming mesquite tree. Here are bougainvillea blossoms. These are called fire thorns, and they make these orange berries, which are a great food source for the birds and other wildlife. The cactuses are having a great year. Here's a barrel cactus. Here is a barrel cactus that has fruited. This is a prickly pear cactus that has a profusion of blooms, and this will create lots of delicious fruit. Here we have a lily tree, and the lily trees do really well in the desert, and they bloom for months. So these are huge lilies, just like you would find in a florist, except they're growing all over a tree, and they bloom every single day. Here are some of the beautiful spring flowers we have in the desert, and I hope wherever you are,
that spring is finally starting to come into bloom and you at least have something beautiful to look at. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Will Brennan, natural lifestyle expert and the founder of Desert Mountain Apothecary. So hang in there, everybody.